Hey everybody, welcome back to the Gamers Lounge podcast. My name is John Meadows. With me, as always, it's just Dennis and Nathaniel. I say just, but I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean it's.
Fine, I'll just leave now.
It's still a full crowd.
Yeah, it's only two. It's only three of us tonight, not the usual 4 or 5. So, it's not. And it sounded really bad when I said just.
Just dismissing the rest.
Yeah,
well, we got the important ones here today. So you're bound for a good podcast.
Yeah, either dismissing the rest or dismissing the ones that are here. It's like, oh, okay. Well, it's like it could go either way.
It's just us three.
Yeah, it's just us three.
Exactly. I don't even know why we did one this week, but
Jeez, yeah. Well, it's summertime, so I know people are going to travel. I'm going on vacation in 2 weeks, so this will be the last This will probably be this may be the only podcast for June. Now to think about it, we'll get one at the end of the month. But I'm going to go to my second Holy Land of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and see Lambeau Field and eat some cheese and do all that. Get away from the heat. It's like 90 degrees here. I looked at the temperature in Green Bay. It's like 70 and cool. It's like
Wisconsin doesn't really believe in warm weather.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that too. Absolutely.
It's the winters you have to put up with up there. That's just a little.
Oh my God, forget it. Yeah, I mean, one of my best friends moved there a couple of years ago, so I mean, he's always just kept me updated, and he's since moved back to North Carolina, but his brother is still in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So I still get the monthly updates of just like, yep, I got frostbite. So yep.
Yeah,
like the winters.
Frostbite, it's August. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, I was. Let's see, where was I at a month ago? This time last month, I was somewhere in Pennsylvania and it snowed. And it was mid-May. It was right before Easter, or right before. Yeah, no, not right before Easter. Right after Easter, it was mid-May. Snowed. Yeah. It's like. It's May. Why is it snowing? It's like I don't even understand. But
it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. But it could be worse. But now it's like it's went from it's cold to it's 100 degrees and I'm sweating like a pig. And I don't like that. I don't. Everybody. Oh, I can't wait for summer to get here. I'm like, I can. There's grass to mow. It's sweaty. The shrubs grow. There's bugs. There's allergies. No. Give me winter. I want winter. I like cold.
Yeah, that's what I like.
I can always put more clothes on. I can only take so many clothes off.
Exactly. Then you gotta start removing the skin, then remove the tissue underneath that. It just becomes a whole thing, And then there's medical problems or whatever when you do that.
That makes sense.
You just need to install a zipper. That makes it so much easier.
Oh
right?
yeah. That always.
That's true. Yeah.
But anyway, enough about talking about taking clothes off. We'll talk about games. That's what we're here to talk about is games and games we've played. I haven't played too much this week. I did start Jedi Fallen Order. I did a New Game Plus a couple of weeks ago. I haven't played it on the Series X since it got the current gen update. I hate saying next gen because it's really not next gen now. It's current gen. But so I'd played it on One X, so it had the 60 frames a second, but it didn't have the 4K and the better graphics and stuff like that. So I thought I'd do a New Game Plus, at least to carry over all my cosmetics and things I've found. You start your skill tree over again, which kind of sucks. I would like to be like right out the gate, but it's fun.
Yeah.
And plus, with them announcing it was kind of funny. I started playing it before they announced the new one coming next year, which
Survivor, I think it's called.
Yeah, Survivor. So it looks pretty.
Early predictions on that game's going to be delayed. Any new game announcement for next year is like, hey, if we haven't heard of it before, it'll be delayed.
That's what I'm afraid of, and that stinks because it looks really good, and it's got like ray tracing and full 4K. It's next gen only, and they're not bringing it out on PS4 or Xbox One, so it's next gen only. So it's going to be.
But if anything, the last couple years have taught us is just expect it to be delayed, even if they've given you a date.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's happened a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, calendars at this point are just there to just look pretty on the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really set a date on anything anymore. So
And after
It's out when it's
Starfield
out.
set a date, in stone like that, I don't think a lot of them are going to set a date. They're going to say, "Well, we're going to shoot for next year and hope for next year." But even if the new Jedi game comes out next year, it won't come out till like probably October or November anyway. So because
Yeah.
EA is going to hold that sucker until holiday, I know they are.
Yeah, that's a holiday
Oh, yeah.
selling title for sure.
Yeah,
September at the very earliest, and
Yeah.
that's only if it's ready.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so I've been playing it. I've been playing a lot on the Steam Deck. There's a lot of games that I forgot that I had that I hadn't tried, like Elder Scrolls Skyrim. I hadn't tried Skyrim on the Steam Deck, so I fired it up the other day. Holy crap! It's not the enhanced version. I got just the plain old version that came out 10 years ago or whatever. Thing runs 60 frames a second on ultra settings and on that little handheld, and it's sharp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a good time. And then Fanatic, man, Fanatical always gets me with their emails. They send me an email and go, "Hey, we got a mystery bundle this week. You get 10 games for $7." And I always go, "Ooh." This is why I don't play the lottery and I don't gamble, because it's like, "Ooh, well, I'll just see what I get." And usually I get real good games. This week it was the mystery RPG bundle for $2.99. You get 3 games, just 3 random games. The 3 random games, one of them I got was Fallout New Vegas. It's for the PC. So I loaded it up last night, and I'd forgot that game's like 2010 or something like that.
Yeah, it's on the older side of things. I mean, we're talking 360.
Yeah,
So.
and I totally forgot how old it was. It was like, oh golly, yeah, this is real old. And again, runs on ultra, 60 frames a second, looks beautiful on the Steam Deck. It's like, it just blows my mind that a game like that can just look so good, and it's only running at 1280 by 800 or whatever.
Well, it's crazy too. I mean, like now, I mean, I think we've all kind of gotten spoiled with the technology now. But when you think about a game of that caliber back then, especially, I mean, we all know the infamous story of, what was it, Skyrim or Oblivion, that had to like completely reset your 360 in order for it to run, basically.
Oh
is how
no,
they got
that
it
was
actually
that
work.
was Elder Scrolls, not Oblivion. What was the one before?
That was
that
Morrowind, wasn't it?
Morrowind on the original
Okay.
Xbox. It was on
the original
it was
Xbox.
OG
Okay.
Xbox, yeah.
Yeah, but you got to look back at, like, these were games at the time that were pushing the hardware so much to the point where you had to do something like that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, here we are, in on a handheld at the palm of our hands, being able to play something of that caliber, and something, and then that's just that. Never mind the stuff that are still that we're still able to play on a handheld at this point. And just the massive games from there, because yeah, just I mean something on the scale of Fallout, no less, is always going to be so deep and huge and detailed.
Yeah.
So it's mind blowing. Especially 2010, at the time the 3DS wasn't even out yet. It was still the DS was the sort of handheld from Nintendo. So you compare the handheld of that compared to the handheld of now, which is now playing the console games of then. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, it's like I got Shenmue 1 and 2 on the Steam Deck because I was like, I gotta play Shenmue handheld. I gotta see this on handheld, and somebody had it for $7. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. That game, even on the Steam Deck, loads so fast. The little cutscenes that have the time and tell you what city you're in. You can't read them. It loads so fast. It goes one right into the other. It just kind of goes on the screen and then goes away. Goes on the screen and then goes away.
Welcome to PC gaming.
Yep.
Like, a lot of those load screens
Yeah.
didn't have like a built-in timer for it. It was just however fast it loads. So if it's loading it super quick because it's an old game, you ain't reading it.
No, yeah, and it does that on the Series X too. But
also.
I thought, well, I'm going off the memory card. It'll be a little bit slow. No, it wasn't. It was just like bam. It was like, and I remember playing it on the Dreamcast, and you just sit there and go, okay, it's 8:00 and I'm in Yokohama. All right, let me just sit here and wait. And you can just hear the Dreamcast.
Start the loading screen. It's 8:00, and by the time it's done loading, it's 9:00.
Yeah, it's like. Yeah, but it's crazy. So I've just been piddling around with that. And Kingdom Come Deliverance was another game they had on sale this week. It was the definitive version with all the DLC and stuff for like $10.
Yeah, like the Royal Edition.
Yeah, Royal, I think is what it's called. Yeah. And I've not played it. It was on Game Pass, and it was one of those games that I downloaded and was going to play, and I never did because I knew it was like a 100-hour RPG.
Yeah, I never played it.
It's very Skyrim-y, but I don't want to say it's Skyrim with a story, because not that Skyrim doesn't have a story.
Skyrim has a story that you just ignore because you're running around doing whatever.
Right, yeah. This one has, like, you start out and you're like this young kid, and your mom gets you out of bed and says, hey, go help your dad, and you go over, and, it does the fetch quest. Looks very good. I've literally played maybe an hour of it is all I've played. But it's pretty cool. It does feel like Skyrim because it's first person. It's, and it just, the Steam Deck just amazes me, because all these games that are not verified on Steam Deck or says they don't work, and they work just fine. Kingdom Come Deliverance is one of them. Alpha Protocol was another one that I downloaded that I had on PC. And I don't know if you'd ever played that back in the day. That's a 360.
That game is a mix of super cool ideas executed mediocre to poorly.
Yeah. But
well, there's some things in there that are okay, but man, there's some weird difficulty spikes in that game too.
Yeah,
where
there
just all of a
is.
sudden you're just like, oh, ouch, I'm getting murdered on this mission. What happened?
Yeah. Or I've got to crack this door that says easy. 3, 2, 1, it's done. I'm like, oh no, I can't even move my stick that fast to, do it. What was funny with it is it says incompatible with Steam Deck. When you boot it up, you have a list that says, and the only thing that you could read is options. The top one is play, the second one is options, and I don't even know what the other ones are. I guess the last one's exit. So I just click the top one with the touch screen. It goes into the game. Then you go into the options menu with your touch screen and enable Xbox 360 controller. Game works fine. It's, you just got to go beep, pop, pop, and it's good. And then when you shut it down and open it back up, it remembers, that you got the controller, and it works just perfect.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a PC. It's
Yeah.
just a different form factor. So a lot of those things will run. It's just not, quote, out of the box going to just start up and work like the certified ones are. You have to change a couple things and it works just fine. As long as you're not trying to run a game that's going to outstrip the hardware, you should be fine.
Yeah, there's a couple games that just doesn't work real well on it. The first Knights of the Old Republic doesn't, because it doesn't have controller support, so it really wants a mouse and keyboard, and it won't recognize the buttons or anything like that, so that one's out. But the second one does, because it has controller support. So, it's...
Thanks, old BioWare PC ports.
Yeah.
Like, first Mass Effect was like that too originally. You could not play it with a controller in the original release.
Right, yeah, and see, I have that on Steam as well, and I didn't even bother downloading it, because I was like, yeah, it's not going to work on it. I know.
Oh, now, why would you anyway? You could get the Legendary Edition, and it works great.
Yeah, and I thought about buying the Legendary Edition on it. It's $25 right now. It's like, let me just see what it's like on the Steam Deck. That's the bad thing with me and the Steam Deck. It's like, it's not that it's it's a great system. I love having it, but right now it's more, ooh, let me download this and see how it runs. Oh, that runs good. Oh, let me download this and see how it runs. It's like, and then before I know it, the week's over, and I haven't played but 5 minutes of just this and that, just going, oh, that works great. Oh, that looks cool. It's like, eventually that'll wear off, I guess. I don't know. Hasn't yet. It's been 2 months. You'd think it would have wore off by now. But I tell you what, it's hilarious. I say it's hilarious. I got mine on the second big wave of emails in April, or was it March? I think it was March. And I look at people who are, verified journalists in the field, and they're just now getting theirs. It's like, wow, I got mine like super early. How did I do that? Oh, I know. I bought the 64 gig version while everybody else bought the high-end 512 version and had to wait on it. So
yeah, that's the one I had pre-ordered, was the one that you had pre-ordered. It was just the base tier, basically. That's all I needed. I mean, you can put an external card in it, I'm happy. So.
Yeah, and I've got a terabyte external card, and I can swap it right out for a 400, and hot swap them, and it works just fine. I don't need, and the load times are just as good, so it's like, I don't need the bigger SSD. Sure, it's nice, but the emulators run on it, so that's all I use it for. But
yeah.
But all right, well, Nathaniel, since you've got one lowly game, which I say lowly, it's really not lowly.
It's a big one.
I've played a couple other games, but it's ones I've had on my list for the last few times, so I just left them off. So Tunic is the only thing I've been playing that's kind of been different since the last couple podcast episodes.
Yeah.
I played it for like maybe an hour, maybe 45 minutes or something when it first came on Game Pass, but Elden Ring was still dominating my playtime. So I didn't play any more than that. I was like, okay, cool, I guess. I don't want to put the time into figuring this out right now. I'll do it later.
Yeah.
And later has finally come. It's really fun. I've gotten pretty far into it. I'm not sure how long I've been playing it, but I've gotten 2 colored keys out of 3.
Oh wow.
I've
Okay.
been to a lot of the major areas. There's one that I just started trying to do right before the podcast that was like killing the crap out of me because the enemies are strong, and then there's areas that will sap your health away, and was like, no, this is a bad combo. Do not like. It's fun in that game too, because whenever you're running around, you always see like a treasure chest off somewhere. You're like, I want to get that.
Yeah.
And then like, oh man, I can't get that because I don't have a thing yet, or I haven't found the secret hidden walk around where you go around the left side of this building and find the hidden pathway and yada yada. There's so much of that. It's fun because there's lots of games that are like, hey, I wonder if there's something behind this waterfall. Oh no, this game there's almost always at least a little bit of room behind a waterfall, whether it goes anywhere or not. You can still walk under it. So it's like every single one you ever find. Just, if it's in the shallow water, you can walk in. Just like, go back here. Nope. Oh, hey, this one has a passage. Cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I like that game a lot. I need to get back to it.
I
haven't
loved it.
played it in a
I
while,
loved it.
So yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. I beat it. It took a while, but that's one of those games that like I love games like that where they don't necessarily hold your hand, but they don't try to like completely like brutalize you right away either. So you can kind of by smart level design where you can go and where you can't go right now. But also it still, even for places that you can't go, it still sort of invites you to look around the environment because there might still be something that could help you somewhere else. Like you have like little Easter eggs and just fun little items and things like that that are just scattered about, and then the world sort of slowly but surely like reveals itself, and it's wonderful, man. I love Tunic so much. Like, yeah.
When I finally started finding stuff that's like, hey, this is how you upgrade. And I'm like, great, this is awesome. I need that because I'm dying from this place I want to go to, and I've been to all the other areas that I can handle fine. I need to go this way.
Right.
Yeah, eventually you can handle all that, health sucking thing.
And at the beginning,
so.
when you just have that stick and you finally get that sword, it's just like, I'm going back.
It's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I'm going back to all these
point,
places.
I want something other than the sword. Because right now I've got the sword, and then I've got a couple of kind of like magical attack things that only use so many times until you have to refill them up. I want another weapon that is infinite like the sword, or just a better version of the sword that I don't have yet. I've seen a sword that I assume you can get at some point, but I have no idea how to get it, so that's on the back burner till whenever the heck that happens.
I'm going to take it that you're playing it on Game Pass. Are you playing on Xbox or PC?
Playing on Xbox.
Oh, okay. I figured as much.
Blinded by my TV. Oh my goodness. Because I'm trying to go through a bunch of different places, I'm using the warp things a lot, which flashes white all the time, and then the area that you're in is like pretty white. Or when I will find my way up into like the top of these mountains where there's a bunch of snow, it's just like the HDR is just like beaming in your face. Like I can't see.
I have noticed, and I don't know if it's an Xbox thing. I've calibrated the HDR on my TV and on the Xbox, but like even like when I'm playing Sea of Thieves and I get a skull with green eyes, and I'm taking it back to the ship, and if it's at night on the game, oh my gosh, I can't see where I'm going because the green light is shining so bright in the corner that it blinds me while I'm playing. It's like, it's way
for me,
too
it's
much
not
HDR.
like an Xbox thing or anything, because I play other stuff on Xbox with the HDR. It's just something about Tunic that's just like blasts me in the face.
I
like,
need
to get flash. You get hit with the flash grenade.
Yeah. Well, and I need to see. I don't know if Tunic supports Dolby. Was it Dolby Vision? Is that the HDR equivalent?
Yes, that is Dolby
my
Vision.
TV has that, so I need to. I like to play on both of them and see. There is a subtle difference in the two. So, I know Sea of Thieves is Dolby Vision compatible. So, I need to try that and see if I just don't get blinded by green light out of a skull's eye. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like just trying to walk to take it back. It's like, it's dark, I can't see. But Oh, it was hilarious. I'd like to have been somebody on the server I was on a couple weeks ago when I was playing it on the Steam Deck. For some reason, there was a glitch on my server that when I would get off when I was on my boat, I could move around left, right, up, down, move perfectly. When I get off the boat onto an island, I could only move to the left and the right. I could not turn. I could not look up and down. I could only move to the left and the right. So I would grab my treasure, get off the boat, walk sideways to whoever, drop it off, then come back. Somebody was probably watching me going, why is that dude walking sideways? I get on the ship and I could just, I could turn around all I wanted. It was the weirdest thing. I don't know what that glitch was all about, but it was funny. But yeah, anyway, Tunic. Tunic is awesome. I love Tunic. I met the devs a couple years ago at GDEX, and it's just, I've been waiting for it for forever. So.
Yeah, I find it funny because I make comparisons between this and then with the Death's Door, right?
Yeah, Death's Door, yeah.
They both have frog levels, which amused me when I found the one in Tunic. I was like, hey, frogs!
But yeah, so nothing else we're talking about other than just Tunic.
Yeah, no, I played a little bit more Horizon, a little bit more V-Rising, but not enough to really have much to talk about. And like, yep, I've played some of those.
I need to boot up Horizon now that they got the new update out with some of the graphical improvements and stuff like that. See how well it runs. I mean, it ran great before, so I can only imagine.
I was like, I don't know what you're gonna improve. It looked great already.
Yeah. All right, Dennis. Well, you've got the biggest list of everybody, so.
Yeah, I've got a list and a half.
You can only pick one. Go.
Yeah,
only one. Yeah, I've got quite a bit. But honestly, a lot of them are short games, except for like the obvious ones. But yeah, just to start off, I played a little game called Bit Orchard Animal Valley. It's a cute little 8-bit game. I'm sure you've seen it. It goes on sale all the time on the eShop. But I started playing a little bit of that, and it's like super cute and super. Well, I don't want to say super relaxing, but it can be relaxing because all you do is, well, as the title suggests, you just kind of run an orchard. And there's not much of a story to it. You just kind of wake up, and you just kind of go around and start, well, planting apple trees, basically. And every couple of days, you'll collect these apples, and they come in 3 different shapes. They come in just regular size apples, big apples, and then golden apples. As you can imagine, the golden apples sell for a bunch because you don't really do much with the apples anyways, except for sell them. And then once you sell them, you buy other things. You can buy decorations for your house. You can buy more scarecrows, even though you can just craft more scarecrows by using the fiber. There's like random bushes and stuff that kind of pop up all over the place, so you just kind of weed those out and grab the fibers from that, and then you can build a scarecrow with that. You can't build too much. There's like, again, it's a very small, humble game. It's super cheap, and so I'm making it sound like there's a lot you can do, but there's really not.
It's very Game Boy looking. Yes.
Oh, very.
It's got the
very
grayscale and everything. So.
Yeah, and then especially if you get the now they have the deluxe edition on the eShop. If you get that, they actually do have a sort of Game Boy effect where you can actually change the colors. So yeah, it's really neat just by pressing up or down on the D-pad. So you can have red, purple, green, for more of that traditional Game Boy effect, and then just and whatever else, blue. So. But yeah, no, it's been super cute. It was not very long, maybe like 2-3 hours, maybe, and then I beat it. And but you can still keep playing after that because you can grow your orchard as big as you want. Because you can start planting apple trees. You have a small little farm, but you can even plant trees outside of your farm. So you have basically a big lot, if you will, all these this land, I don't however many acres, and you just go to town with building this orchard. You can make it all nice and fancy. I didn't. I was just like, I'm just gonna plant them down. Normally I do like to have them nice and have a nice sort of make it visually appealing. Anyways,
right.
When you see a farm or something in any sort of farming sim. But this time I was like, I mean, this is there wasn't even a grid anyway. So even if you try to make everything nice and even,
right,
it's very difficult to do so because again the game's very simple. So it would just be very difficult to do so. So, but yeah, and then after you're done doing that, you can go and you can fish a little bit. You get not many different types of fishes, maybe like 8 different types of fishes. But while you're doing all this, you don't just do this randomly. You can fulfill requests for people as well. That's where the Animal Valley part comes in. Except interestingly, there are no animals at all. So I'm not sure where the term Animal Valley came from, because when you go over to the town over from your farm, it's just regular people. It's just like you are. So,
Valley was originally created by animals who then pieced off to somewhere else.
it's possible. I think the only real animal that you see a couple of crows that are always around, the scarecrows, obviously, um, and then there's a frog you have to catch, and then there's a bunny, and that's it. Really. And then, if you don't include the fish that you're fishing, obviously. But otherwise, yeah, no, there's not really animals at all. So I don't know where the name Animal Valley sort of came from. But Bit Orchard, anyways, is a great name because that's very fitting.
Right.
But the Animal Valley part, they could have gotten rid of that. I'm not sure what that was
Hey,
for.
they put that in there for animal lovers to trick them into buying the game. That's
And
obviously
to be
what it was.
fair, it kind of worked. It kind of worked because that was like one of the reasons why I went into it. But yeah, and then when you go to the town over, there's a couple different shops, couple of houses, people you visit, and you do quests for them as well. Small quests. Sometimes people are like, I've never seen a gold apple before. Do you have a gold apple you can give me? And then once you um, harvest one, you can go in and give them that, and then you'll get however many coins for that. And someone's like, oh, I've never seen this fish before. Or like, well, someone's like, I need fish to cook dinner tonight. Can you grab me a fish? And you go fish, and get them however many fishes they want, so on and so forth. And then there's a nice little shop. You go in there, you can buy cute little things, cute like different outfits even. But you can't customize. They're all like preset outfits. So one will look like a ninja, the other one will look like a pilot. Another one will look like a captain on a ship. Something like that. So another one will look like a firefighter, so on and so forth. So, but not only that, you can buy signs, stuff like stop signs, and you know just so many different things to really decorate your orchard with, in and around it. You can't really put any of that stuff in your house. For stuff that you want in your house, you have to specifically buy stuff within your house. Your house has like an interesting little shop implemented in it, where once you open your closet, that's kind of considered a shop. So, and then a menu will pop up, and you can buy, a new chair, a new desk, a lamp, so on and so forth. So, um, but yeah, it's a cute little game. There's not much to it, but I mean, it's fun to spend 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there,
Yeah.
and then before you know it, you're done with it. And I mean, I loved it. It goes on sale often for $2. I think normally it's like $10. I would not spend that much, but yeah, if at $2, I'm happy with it.
Right.
So it's a fun little game, and especially if you're grew up in the Game Boy era like I did, it already immediately has that appeal. Because
Right.
I love anything that has that sort of aesthetic. So. But yeah, been playing that. Also on the Switch, in terms of like sort of pixel arty stuff, been playing a bit of Bad Writer. I got that sent to me actually. I reached out to the devs because I had some interest in it, and they just sent me a complimentary code. And which I was very grateful for. So shout out to those guys. Riddle Fox Studios, I believe they're called. So thank you tremendously for sending the code. And but it seemed very relatable, right? Where like for those of us that constantly write all the time, whether you're an author or you're doing it for journalism purposes or whatever the case may be, maybe you're writing a script, whatever. It it it's an interesting look into that sort of lifestyle, but they sort of make it in an arcadey format. And what I mean by that is you wake up, how the game works is you wake up and then you go to, let's say, your computer, and you can check your email, you can write a story, a couple different prompts, right? Now, depending on which one you pick, you can submit a story after that. And depending on which one you do, you have a happiness meter on the right side of your screen. And more often than not, things will not go your way, right? So the happiness meter will go down and down and down. And in order to get it up, you have to find sort of inspiration, right? So let's just say you decided to watch a movie, right? So you watch a movie, and then the game tells you, like, you watched a movie with your wife. And now, you feel inspired and you came up with two stories in your head. So then the following day, you can go to your computer, you write those two stories, and then you can submit those stories, right? And your happiness meter will go up and down depending on your activities for the day. And so, for example, once you submit a story to a publication, let's just say they send it back to you, it gets rejected, then obviously your happiness meter is going to go down. Now, if your happiness meter goes all the way down, you've lost the game, right? And you go through a cycle of 30 days, and once the 30 days are up, the game's over, right? And you either win or lose depending on where your happiness meter is. So yeah, it's very simple. There's not much to it. I mean, literally, you can quote unquote beat the game in like 30 minutes. It's literally a minute per day. You're not spending long because you're just kind of doing the same thing.
Right.
You wake up and you can do a multitude of things. Like I said, you can go to a park. You can watch a movie for inspiration. You can read a book for inspiration. You can, just pet your cat. Petting your cat will always give you happiness. So if your happiness is running low, I highly recommend petting your cat. I did that first thing every day. That was my routine. I
Just
wake
like in
up
real
every day.
life, yeah.
Just like in real life, yeah, exactly.
Every
So,
morning I get up, my alarm goes off. Luna, she's still a kitten. She runs right in the
yep,
bedroom to meet me, and then wants to walk
yep,
into the bathroom with me, and
yeah,
get petted, and it's
yep.
hilarious. So yeah, every day that you do it in real life, it's great if you have a
Yeah, do it
cat.
in real life, absolutely. I mean, if you're not doing it in real life, I'm concerned for you,
Yeah.
really, if anything. So, but yeah, no, gotta give love to the fur babies because they'll give you love back, and your happiness meter will go up.
Yep.
So, literally and figuratively. So, but yeah, so you just do that. I was doing that every day, and then yeah, so your happiness meter will go up or down depending on how you get rejected, and you can check your emails. And if you don't have any emails, something will pop up like I guess no one cares about me, and then your happiness meter will go way down, and stuff like that. So, but the developer was inspired to make the game because as someone, he was a freelance, or still is a freelance writer, but he's been doing this now for 18 years, he said, right? So, his inspiration for making the game was also just the fact that like he could be doing anything else,
Mm.
like even just enjoying his own time, right? And then, but in the back of his head, he's just kind of telling himself, "I should be writing right now. I should be writing right now," which like, I think we all feel that to some degree. So, uh, so he made a game out of that, basically called Bad Writer, and that's what that is, and yeah, and it was funny because he was like, it shows up on his itch.io page, itch.io page, whatever you want to call it, and because that's where it was offered initially.
Mm.
And yeah, he was like, even while coding this, I'm still telling myself like I should be writing. I should be writing while he's making the game. So it was a weird sort of experience for him. But yeah, I think we can all relate to that. To if you're in that field in some manner, you can all relate to that, and in some way. So, so yeah, the game sort of had that sort of connection right off the bat for me, uh, but overall, I mean, the game was fine. To get on the, you know, on the critical side of things, the game was fine. It's repetitive, but that's the gameplay loop, right? So it's not repetitive necessarily in a bad way, but it's just repetitive in the sense that, you know, you got to be doing this every day because you got to grind, grind, grind in order to, well, I mean, make the money and then eventually, hopefully find that piece that's gonna be considered a success, right? So
Mm.
you're just trying anything and anywhere to submit these stories to. So, um, but yeah, overall it was fine. I do wish there was more to it. Some of the collision detection was weird. Like sometimes every time I went downstairs, something would always happen with the couch where I would hit the couch and I'm like, I'm not anywhere near the couch. I'm just trying to go to the kitchen, grab myself some orange juice, whatever, So but yeah, the collision detection was weird. But in the instances where you do go out of your house, you don't really see that. It's just the screen goes black and then the text box
Mm.
sort of pops up saying what you did. Like for example, when you go to the park, or if you just go for a walk around the block, you don't actually do that or see that or experience any of that. It's just a little text box that pops up. Um, so yeah, there's not much to it. Like if you look at the screenshots on the eShop or on itch or Steam, if it's up there, I think it's up there. It what you see is what you get. It is that house. You wake up in your room, you go downstairs, it's a small room, you see the kitchen, that's it.
Yeah.
So there's not much to it. It's a simple game. It's being sold for $5.99 on the eShop, which is way too steep for a game like that.
Itch.io, it's $3.99. So.
Okay, yeah, that's a little more reasonable. But again, even so, it's a game that you can absolutely play over and over again because that gameplay loop sort of uh, uh, handles itself that way. So, it has replay value for sure, but otherwise, for me personally, it was a one and done because, I got the gist of it. I was like, okay. Now I did fail a few times, so it wasn't 30 minutes one sitting right away. It was more like closer to an hour for me because I was just trying to get the hang of what makes me happy, what doesn't make me happy, the mechanics of it all. But a lot of it is sort of randomized also, right? So whenever you submit a story, you don't know what's going to get rejected and you don't know what's going to get approved, right? So all of that's randomized in that case. But yeah, I mean, it was fine. Again, $4, even for $4, it's you can absolutely find value there, but personally, I wouldn't have done that either.
Not available on Steam, by the way.
Not available on Steam. Okay, interesting.
Just Itch and Switch apparently.
Gotcha.
Itch and the Switch.
It's interesting. It's on Switch. It's interesting. It's on Switch and not on Steam, but
Itch and Switch just sounds fun to say.
Yeah,
it does.
Switch.
They fight. They fight. They fight. They fight. They fight. 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 It's just chi. Oh wait, sorry. That's totally something else.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was it was fine. It's fine if you can catch it on sale. And you have that sort of personal experience with it. I think you'll also find value there, like I did. But otherwise, I personally wouldn't spend $6 on it. That's a little much for something like that. You'll find vastly better content elsewhere. With all due respect to the game, but credit where credit's due. I mean, the game did something different.
Yeah,
for sure. Which I appreciated. But yeah, it was fine at the end of the day. So, but yeah, for another sort of smaller indie game, I played a game called Sumire, which is a beautiful, beautiful game. Another short indie game. I bought this a while back. I bought this months ago. Today, decided to play it, and it wasn't long, maybe 3 hours at most. Beautiful game that's sort of it's got sort of this Sumi Ink sort of art style to it. Not entirely Sumi Ink, but very colorful water pastel sort of vibes to it. And you go through this world. You play as this girl who her name is Sumide, and she wakes up just feeling sort of like she wants to accomplish more, right? Like she's not really happy where she is, and especially she's in a bad state at the moment because her grandmother, who she was really close to, recently passed away. So she wakes up, and not only that, but her parents are in the middle of getting divorced, and so it's a whole thing for her, right?
Oh jeez.
So yeah, no, yeah, it's a whole thing. But even that's just kind of how you start off, like being introduced. Like that's how the story is introduced to you, right? But overall, the game's actually a very happy game and a very wholesome game, really. And yeah, you wake up and there's this cute little sunflower that's sort of like a floating sunflower, like the top of it, not necessarily this, the stem, but yeah, this like sort of celestial sunflower that is like, hey, we should go do something today. And she's like, what? Who are you? And then and she's like, well, I don't know, because she's all down. She's like, oh, I don't have the motivation to do anything. He's like, look, we got to take small steps, right? Let's take baby steps. So what do you want to do? And she starts listing stuff out. And he's like, perfect. Let's make a list. We'll make the perfect day, right? Forget the sadness. We're gonna make the perfect day. She's like, all right, let's do it. So she starts listing things down in her notebook, and you just kind of go throughout the game, kind of completing these, going through this checklist, basically. Stuff that's like, deliver a love letter to this lady at the, at the sauna, or, or just pick up groceries for mom, and stuff like that. Just small little things, and yeah, and then you just kind of get introduced little by little to the characters of that world, and all the animals speak to you, and it's really cute. There's this bunny that's like racing a turtle, and the game gives you a lot of choices, but one of the choices was like you know, pick up the turtle and just take it to the finish line. So I did that. I did that, and then it kind of gives you like it doesn't tell you about this, but it gives you like sort of karma points. So you have either a red flower that pops up over your head or a blue flower, depending on if you're going in evil or good route, sort of like Undertale, really, right? So like you can choose if you want, an evil route, a good route, or a neutral route. Like they give you that option actually, in the game. So the game ended up being a much deeper than I thought it would be, but it's a beautiful, beautiful game, and like the little world that they built. Was so unique, and it was just enough to make you feel like you were immersed in it. You know, you could visit various shops as well. And these shops didn't really do anything. I mean, you get coins throughout the game, but you don't have to spend a single one. Instead, you just buy, you can buy random stuff like a sweater or like a pen, a keychain, but you don't do anything with them other than like unless there's like a quest item. Like there was a like a little Buddha, like stone thing, like statue basically, like stone statue that was like, yo, I'm cold. So you go and get him a sweater, then you put it on this Buddha stone statue,
All right.
and then all right, your karma went up. You're doing good. You're doing good
Nice.
things in the world, big things in the world. You know, so, but yeah, just little things like that. And the game's goofy in a lot of ways, but it's really cute and really wholesome. And by the end of it, it has just this really important message of like, I mean, just the things we've always heard, right? Where it's just like, just try to make to the best of your ability. Just try to make every day count. And because you don't know really what you have until it's gone. That sort of message. But it was a super super cute game and really wholesome and arguably one of the most beautiful games I've played in quite some time. I mean, the
Yeah,
art
it looked
direction in that
really
game was
nice.
fantastic. Yeah. So, but yeah, it goes on sale. I think it's actually on sale right now, actually. I don't know how much it's for because it just tells me it's purchased, but I saw it in the deals page on the eShop, so I'm not sure. But if anyone's interested in it, well, it's well worth the price, whatever it's being sold for. So I think it's normally $10 without a sale, but I think when I bought it on sale, it was like $5. So well worth the $5.
Let's see. It's
Absolutely. I'll give you
$5.
$5.
Yeah, it's $5 on Steam.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna guess it's $5 on the eShop too. Once it
Oh,
loads,
okay.
my gosh, the eShop
Yeah.
on the website is slow as crap. Yep, it's $4.99 as well
Yeah.
on the eShop.
It's yeah.
Cool. Oh, I think he froze. He's in there he goes. Yeah, you froze. You were in a zen-like position. You froze.
Okay.
Now he's a robot.
What?
Keep going. You were a robot. You're fine.
You're
now.
good. You're good.
You're good. You're good.
Oh,
Go on.
okay.
It has adjusted, we think.
Yeah. Nope.
Nope.
Froze again.
But yeah,
The internet demons are attacking. It'll let him get about 2 words. And says, that's enough.
Yeah. Hang on. I'm gonna switch regions.
Freeze again.
Yeah. Hang on. I'm gonna switch to Central and see if that helps before. Give it a second here. All right. Go ahead. Nope.
Are we good?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, go. Yeah, go. We're waiting on you.
Now he froze for me again. I think it might be on Dennis's end.
I think it is.
Now you guys are frozen.
Yeah, see, I think it's on.
I'm gonna go ahead and just start talking.
Yeah, just talk.
Technical difficulties.
Okay, just go ahead and then just let me know if something messes up.
Okay, yeah, you're good.
But yeah, no. So Sumide is great. But in addition to that, just I've been in like this sort of like retro mood lately. So, but the other day I got sent a code for a little game called Infinite Links. This game was released maybe about a month ago, almost a month ago, in the beginning of May. And it's a Kemco title, which if you're familiar with Kemco games, they do a lot of mobile RPG games, and they're more or less all the same in terms of how they function and how they look. So you kind of know a Kemco game when you look at it. They have a certain like signature to them, which isn't a bad thing. But they all usually are like everything that we get on Switch and even Vita before that. They've all been ported from mobile titles. So, But yeah, they play like just a traditional RPG, which sometimes at the end of the day, that's all I want, man. Just take me back to those Super Nintendo JRPGs. You know what I mean? Like just or like the heydays of the Game Boy Advance, that Golden Sun. That like Sword of Mana. That's all I want, man. Just I'm a simple guy. I just want basic turn-based. I don't need your big cinematics. I like them, but I don't need them.
Right. Exactly.
So um so yeah, no, those sorts of games I've always just kind of been, I've always loved. So, but yeah, I got this sent to me, and so far I'm really, really enjoying it. It's just, what you would expect from a Kemco title. But this one's mainly about you play this kid who um, needs to go find this talisman, right? Because there's this evil in the world. Again, not a very original story, but there's this evil in the world that you're trying to just sort of rid of, right? And there's this talisman that helps the corruption of the land and people themselves can become evil. There's this evil guy, his name's like Alzoff or something like that, going around and just being like, "You're evil and you're evil," like the Oprah of evil. And so and you just kind of use this talisman to cleanse cleanse people and cleanse the land and of the evil and yeah, but it's just you get a party of people and they all do their own thing, right? You're gonna have your range, you're gonna have your sort of you're gonna have your mage, you're gonna have your warrior, you're gonna have your tank, right? You're gonna have your healer and classes like that. So, but I'm enjoying it a lot. It's hard to put down. Actually, it's on my Switch Lite right now. Like it's what I've been playing. And I mean, I'm on the menu right now, but that's what I've got. And so yeah, I mean, the art directions, what you would expect from a game like that. It's fun. It's simple, but because it is a mobile game, it has not in the console version, but it does have multiple currencies. One that is specifically a premium currency, right? So that you would have to spend real money on. Now, thankfully, that isn't the case once you get the console version because you're paying the money and then they're just going to give you the full game right away. But
Right.
these games, more often than not, are free to play on your phones. So and honestly, you could probably go through the entire game without paying a single dime. Um, but they have been useful. Like you get these things called divine gems, and those are the premium ones, and they have a sort of a premium store in the game, and you don't spend real money. You just get the gems, just completing various tasks, and every 3 battles actually they give you some gems as well, which is really nice. So you don't have to do specific things. You can just even just when you're grinding to gain your levels, you can just get the premium currency that way as well, which is like really nice that there's like a passive way of doing it. But I've just been getting stuff from the shop that increases your experience like times 2, times 3, times 4. And there's other stuff in the shop, but that experience has been like helping a lot because then I don't know about you guys, but when I play RPGs, like I personally I love the grind because once I gain so many levels, I love having that sense of power.
Yeah, that's what I like. I like to grind it
Yeah.
out real quick and then just roll through things.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I mean, because I know if I take the time to grind now, that'll make me less frustrated in the future, right?
Right.
Because at some point you're gonna meet some boss, or even if it's not a boss, you might just go into an area that's just ridiculous.
That's why I
Because
hate this style of thing because it's forced into there because it's like, you're gonna hit a wall if you don't do
Yeah.
this. And it's like, if I
Yeah.
enjoy it, I will like totally spend the time going through there because I like it. But having
course.
to do that to power up so you can do like some story boss that if you didn't do it, you'd be stuck against a wall. I hate that. It's so annoying.
That's an
Right.
old timey thing from the
Yeah,
80s that they wanted
for
you
sure.
to get your money's worth out of this game because they weren't going to be making
Yeah.
another one
Yep.
for another 6, 7, 8, 10 years if you're lucky.
Right.
So.
Right.
But yeah,
It's
it
like
looks,
it feels like I'm just wasting my time when I'm grinding. It's like, this is just not fun
that's what I liked
because I'm
about
being forced to do it. Now, if
Yeah.
it's something, it's like, oh man, I really like the mechanics in this game, and then I just end up doing like what you would call grinding, anyways, because I'm not thinking of it that way.
Right. The first Fantasy Star on the Sega Master System was very grindy like that. You really had to grind and grind and grind to get to a certain. By the time you got to a certain section, or you're going to just get whipped. On the I don't know, remake version, remaster, whatever you want to call it, that's on the Switch that M2 did. They turn, you can mess with those settings, and you can set it to get 3 times the XP right off the bat, so you don't have to grind. You could just go right through it at a normal pace like you do a modern game, and that was nice to be able to do that without having to really super grind. But it was a fine line because you get too much. And,
yeah, for like older games, that makes sense. If you're making a new game now that's the same way, it's just because you're trying to emulate the older games, you could design it and balance it better than that.
Yeah, it doesn't age well, but I'm actually glad you brought that up, just because like this game does have also an auto battle system, which is really nice. So that way you don't have to keep constantly, if you're just grinding, you don't have to tap A over and over again. Like, and you can change their strategies, they call them, to make it so you can make each character kind of like, oh, do you want to defend all the time, only for auto battles, but like, do you want to defend all the time? Do you want to just go, do you want to use your skills, over just a basic attack? Do you want to heal all the time? Do you want to be well balanced, so on and so forth? So
anytime they have strategies, they just need to put one in there that just said win all the time. There you go. That's the strategy. The strategy is win.
Well, thankfully, well, also, actually, speaking of, there's actually another option in the options where actually there's an auto win. However, it only applies to if you run into an enemy that is significantly lower than you, then the battle you'll just automatically get the XP and you'll just keep walking, basically. So you won't have to go through that whole warp sequence, and sit there and go through the battle, which is really nice. So they mitigate a lot of that sort of I guess that needless sort of like, I gotta wait for this screen to warp, and let me go down to my attack. Let me use an item for this. Let me go to my skills. You have to do all this manual labor. Where now it's just like it's auto this, and then if you want to do auto battle for a battle that you're gonna win pretty seamlessly, the battle speed gets upped by like 3 times. So then that just it just happens like within the flash of an eye. So it's again, it's really accommodating for different sort of play styles, which is, I think you want something like that, just because since this does have mobile origins, most people, when you do play mobile games, it's only for what, a couple minutes at a time, right?
Usually,
so you gotta so you gotta accommodate for that, just that lifestyle really, and that play style, that like when most people play mobile games, they want an easy in and out. No one's gonna I'm sorry, but like, you're not gonna play Final Fantasy 15 on your phone, even though they have that pocket edition for some stupid reason. But like, you're not gonna do that. Like, you're not gonna play a Dragon Quest 11 on your phone. You're not. The Dragon Age on your phone. You're not. You're not gonna do that. So for games like these, I'm happy that there are those sort of accessibility options to just make things go a little bit quicker, just so you're not sitting there for hours in the same spot. Like right now, I think the pacing is great, and I think that's why I'm like super into this right now, is because I haven't reached that point yet. Even with the grinding that I'm doing, I haven't reached that point yet where I've been like, man, I've been here for too long, man. Like, I just want to move on, because that's when I start to worry about the longevity of an RPG, right? Where I don't know how much time I'm going to sink into this if I'm already feeling like this, because then the moment I start feeling like that, that's when I start to worry, where it's just like, how much more am I willing to put up with?
Right.
Before I'm just like, I'm done. And it's never because it's a difficulty thing, really. It's just because like, I got to sit there and grind, It's like, and again, this is coming from someone who loves the grind, but there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it, and it's like Nathaniel said, where it's like, if there's those sort of artificial blocks, and there's no way to be flexible around that, then that's when it gets frustrating. I just think that's bad game design, personally. So, but
even if you enjoy that, you don't want it to feel like it's wasting your time with all this stuff that you're doing over and over and over again, where you could easily, do things to be like, oh, okay, we'll skip this because we know you're doing auto battle or whatever. Those features have been invented for a long time now, so use them.
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
If a player doesn't want to use it, they don't have to. If you do, it's there.
Exactly.
Everybody wins.
Right, everybody wins. Yeah. So, yeah, and then ultimately at the end of the day, I just feel like you enjoy the game more too. It's like, who stop setting out to make this game that's, I understand you want to be nostalgic. I understand you want to be retro, but you can do that without feeling dated. So, but anyways, Infinite Links. I'm enjoying my time with it so far. I spent a couple hours with it, and eventually I'm going to write a review for it, and it'll be up on the site. So, but yeah, enjoying my time with it so far. Yeah. In addition to that, since we're talking about nostalgia, played a game which came out yesterday actually, but I got it sent to me about a week ago, more or less, called the Wonder Boy Collection. It's actually our featured thing on the front page right now at gamerslounge.com. So, yeah, Wonder Boy Collection. This one's a weird one, right? Because the Wonder Boy Collection, there are a total of 6 Wonder Boy games, I think,
I believe
of the original ones.
there's at least 5, but
Yeah.
I think there's 6.
Of course, not including like the remakes and then the eventual sequel that happened in 2018, sort of the Monster Boy in Wonderland or something like that. I don't know, but
I've lost track of all of them.
Yeah, it's well, especially because they keep changing their names. One game's Wonder Boy, the other one's Monster Land, another one's Monster World. I don't know what's going on. They're all the same game. I don't understand. Just stick with one title. I don't know. And sometimes they'll use it all in one. Like the thing that kills me the most still is the one that we did a review for last year, I believe. Wonder Boy, Asha, and Monster World. Because there is no Wonder Boy. There's no boy, period, at all. Your main character is a girl. So why you couldn't have just called it Wonder Girl? I don't know. Maybe because there's copyright issues with because that's a thing at DC. But I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, this is a collection of those older games, but it only has 4 out of the 6 games for some reason, so it's kind of an incomplete collection. Now, if you want everything, even you can buy them all individually on the eShop, and I'm sure on Steam as well. But the anniversary collection is actually coming out later this year, which actually has all of them. And I'm like, why are you releasing 2 collections this year? One that's incomplete and then one that actually is complete. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
That's
So yeah,
really weird.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's Wonder Boy Collection and there's Wonder Boy Anniversary Collection. The only difference really is the other one has all of them. This one only has 4 of them. Now, the description is for this one, it has the 4 most important games of the series. But again, if you're calling yourself a collection and you're missing some, that to me is not a collection. I would rather you call it, I don't know, Wonder Boy 1 through 4 Remaster. I know it's not as good of a name, but I don't know. Just be more collection.
Well, Wonder Boy Partial Collection.
Yeah, the partial collection.
Wonder Boy Incomplete Collection.
And do it with the K too, like Mortal Kombat.
So this one's Wonder Boy Collection, right?
This is Wonder Boy Collection, yeah. So this one has the first 4, actually.
And
this
then
one
has Wonder Boy Anniversary Wonder Boy Collection.
Yep, that's the one.
Okay.
Yep, that's the different one.
I'm looking at the strictly limited version. They did a release, a physical release of it. There is 21 different versions of the games on that release. Because it has the Japanese versions and the international Western versions of each game on it. So, but
it does. It has all the different systems too, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's got the Game Gear version. It's got the SG-1000. It's got the arcade. It's got the Master System. Yeah, that's like in the Mega Drive and all that. That's like, to me, that's the one you want.
Yeah, no, that is definitely the one you want. Yeah. This one just didn't feel like we reviewed it favorably. Like the review is now live on the site, and I believe I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I enjoyed it. I'm having a great time with it because it has a lot of those modern functionalities that make those old games palatable today. I think the biggest thing being save states, and there's a rewind feature as well, which is important for a game like that because the first 2 games in particular are very arcadey games. But they do have an ending, though. That's the thing. Like, those games do have a sort of story to them, but that story can't really be seen or experienced if, you're having to start back from, level 1 after you die every single time, because there's no real save option. I mean, you could be getting close to the end of the story, and then it's like, whoop, nope. That's another 2 hours you got to go through again, because the games weren't necessarily long because they were arcade games. Arcade games aren't long.
Right.
They're meant for replay value more than anything. But like, I am trying to finish these, because I do like these games a lot, and so that rewind feature and the save state feature is extremely helpful. Because I don't want to experience it like an arcade game. I want to experience it like a normal game. So nothing wrong with being an arcade game. An arcade game, I love arcade games. Pac-Man, for example, one of my favorite games of all time. So, um, but yeah, so it comes with Wonder Boy, and then after that the naming gets really weird. Wonder Boy 2, and then I think it's Monster World, 3, and then Monster World 4, and they start off as like a platformer, but then they started to become like almost like an action RPG series. But the collection really makes you appreciate how the series has sort of evolved from entry to entry, and the biggest thing about Wonder Boy that still stands out to me, even to this day, is that the pixel art is just really good, like really, really good. It's just so charming, and it really holds its own even to this day. Because I don't think they really did much in terms of remastering. What they did in terms of polish and enhancements were more on a technical level. They didn't really touch the games themselves visually. Because again, you have those options that you would see in like an emulator, right? Like those save states, like those rewind features and
Right.
stuff like that. So,
And I'm trying to find if it's the same company that's publishing it, and even some of these gaming websites are confused. They've run a story about the Wonder Boy Anniversary Collection, but the trailer that they link to in YouTube is actually for the Wonder Boy Collection, not the Anniversary Collection. So it's like, no, that's not what
yeah, see?
you've confused. And I can't find it's so convoluted online. I can't figure out who. I don't know if it's the same people publishing it, or if it's two different people. So I don't know. That's
I
weird.
couldn't tell you. It's a mess, honestly, because these games were initially published by Sega, were they not? Were they developed by Sega too? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think they. I don't. I know they were published by Sega, but I don't
Okay.
know because I played it on the Master System, and oh
Yeah.
jeez, come on, stop it.
Yeah, because like Wonder, I don't even know what to call them anymore. The third one and the fourth one in the collection uh, are the Mega Drive versions, versus the first two where they're the arcade versions that are ported on there.
Right.
So
Wonder Boy. See,
What if they did just give up and call it the third one, the fourth one?
yeah. See, and that's what's bad,
Game 3, Game 4.
In America it was Wonder Boy, in Japan it was Monster World. So, and then when they released, because when they released it over here it was Wonder Boy and Monster World, and in Japan it was just Monster World.
I'll just call it Wonder World and get it all even more confusing. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Monster Boy, which actually is a thing. Actually, is it Monster Boy? That's the remake, is it not? Monster Boy or something? Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I'm done. I can't. But credit where credit's due, though. The games are like super fun. Like they really are.
Yeah, they are. They're
for
great.
The most part. Yeah, and for the most part, they hold up like really well. Like I'm enjoying my time a lot with this collection, and having those features like the save states and rewind feature really, really helps. Now, because it's a collection, they kind of want to celebrate it a little bit, and so you do have, but they don't celebrate it in a way that you would expect a typical celebration to be. Like when you look at stuff like the Street Fighter well, I mean, there's many Street Fighter collections, but and then there's the Disney collection, and then there's the Mana collection, and then the Saga collection and stuff like that. They really celebrate those games because not only do you have multiple games in that package, but each game has its own sort of where letterboxing would typically be. Like the black bars, whether they're on the top and bottom or the left and right. They usually replace those with like graphics, right? Make them just kind of give them some more oomph, basically give them a nice sort of illustration. But every game in the Wonder Boy collection has the same graphic. There's not really any thought put into, making each one stand out more than they could. And the art gallery that's in there is literally just a few images put together, and you can't even full screen them. So and as someone who loves art books and just, illustrations and stuff like that in general, just behind the scenes, I love seeing concept art and all of that. And they put that in there, but again, it just feels sort of half-assed because you can't full screen and really appreciate. You can't zoom in like you would in like Tunic, right? I mean, not that that's an art book, but in Tunic you could really zoom into those that manual basically.
Yeah, it is a Sega owned. I thought it was. Yeah, it's a Sega owned, and it's actually.
So what is it doing?
Both releases. The Anniversary Collection doesn't come out until November, and it's done by Bliss Bliss Brain. It's done by the same company that did this. So it's like, why did you release? It's so weird. It's like,
Yeah, that makes no sense.
yeah.
Need some last minute cash to complete the anniversary one.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. And this is the thing that aggravates me is Sega's name is nowhere on it. You know, and here's an IP that Sega owns that they could clearly, you know, Sega could go out to a company and say, hey, we want you to make this game and put the Sega logo on it and pay them. But they'd rather not. They'd rather just go, a company comes to them and goes, hey, we would really love to do this with Wonder Boy. Can we do it? And Sega just goes, yeah, sure, why not? Somebody is going to buy a Sega, whether it's Sony or Microsoft at some point, and they're going to have all these IPs and they're going to start doing something with them. And I hope, whoever it is, I hope they do something with it. Yeah, I don't understand Sega. There's so much money that they're just leaving on the table by just saying, yeah, you know, you go ahead, we give you our blessing. They did that with Street Fighter or Streets of Rage. They did that with what was the other
Sonic
one?
Sonic Mania. Yeah,
Sonic Mania. It's like, what are you doing? You know, I don't know.
I mean, it could be worse. They could be Konami.
Well, yeah, I mean,
well, that's true. Yeah,
you're right. Yeah. But yeah, so it's the same company doing it. And I thought maybe by some strange reason there was a different company that was doing it. No, it's the same publisher and the same. It's like, why? And sites are so confused. It's like,
for good reason. It's really dumb.
Yeah, it is. It's really dumb. It's like, what are you doing? I don't understand. So if I had to go through several pages on Google to figure out that's bad.
Yeah, I know. It's wild. It's wild. But at the end of the day, it is they're fun games and it's a solid collection. But again, if you really want the full collection, you're probably better off waiting for the anniversary one.
I'm just gonna wait for the anniversary. Why wouldn't I? It has literally every game on it and every version, Japanese and American, every port. So why wouldn't I wait?
Yeah, like that's the one you're gonna want to get. If I hadn't had this sent to me, then and if I was personally like buying it, then absolutely wait for the anniversary collection, of course. But credit where credit's due. It's fine for what it is. It's fun. It's Wonder Boy. So if you have a history with it, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. But even so, like, you can buy them all individually already, anyways. So it doesn't really quite.
You could buy them. I don't know if you could buy them through Xbox, but I know on the 360 there's a collection of them that was on the 360 arcade that's backwards compatible on Xbox right now. Yeah. So you could probably go to the 360 store online and buy it, and then play it on the Xbox. Yeah. I mean, huh?
Well, there's options that are probably better than this one out there.
Yeah,
that's where we've landed, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, so strange.
But yeah, it is weird. But yeah, I've been playing that, and it's a good time. But yeah, if you want to go more in depth with it, the full review is out now on thegamerslounge.com, so go check that out. Yep. Yeah, where am I? Oh my God. Jesus, there's so much. Okay, let me just kind of run through these last couple. So, Dream, also this is the last one I've been playing on the Switch. I played and beat Dream the other day. I may have talked about this before on the podcast, but I finally beat it the other day, and it's pretty much like an escape room type game, and I love stuff like that, stuff like Zero Escape and I was gonna say Danganronpa, but I wouldn't count that. But I love escape room games or just hidden object games and games like that. So, but this one's more horror based and has a sort of anime art direction to it, and so sort of akin to like Corpse Party. Actually, it gave me a lot of Corpse Party vibes, especially with like the story that it had. And God knows I love Corpse Party. We've done reviews for pretty much all of them on the site. So go read those if you like Corpse Party. But yeah, Dream is basically this, like I said, just an escape room, hidden object type game set in a horror setting. You play as this girl that wakes up in a morgue, and she's not sure why she's in a morgue, because she's not dead. So so she wakes up and she's like, why am I here? And before the story really takes off, you gotta escape from that morgue, right? So you just kind of and the game kind of introduces you to how things work, which if you played games like this before, you already know how it's gonna work. They all work the same way, where it's like click stuff that looks peculiar. Chances are it's like, oh, there's a piece of paper here that looks like something sharp.
That piece of paper murdered him.
Apparently, froze him solid. Yeah, he is. There you go. Okay.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah, you got froze
All right, we're
again.
good.
Started talking about some piece of paper, and
Paper.
then just like
Okay.
you were frozen. Like, man, that paper was so interesting. You just decided to stop and just stare at it.
I got caught by the teacher. That's what happened. I couldn't say anything. I was passing notes in class.
I don't feel tardy. It's hot for the teacher.
Right.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, so let's just say, you find a piece of paper, you saw something sharp hanging out of it, right? And then you move the piece of paper, and then it's like, oh, scissors, great. Now you have scissors. Oh, now I can cut this wire that'll open up this vent or whatever, So like,
Or you pick up the piece of paper and make a snowflake. Yeah.
true too. Or origami.
Scissors,
even.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, a swan, a duck.
Forget escaping. Do arts and crafts, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, morgues aren't that bad. They got ramen. It's all right. but yeah, so you just wake up and you're just kind of trying to figure a way out, and then eventually you do, and the story kind of goes from there. And yeah, and then things sort of uncover little by little. And I will say, I was super into that game until like the last 20 minutes, where the story just fell apart, man. Like right when the credits started rolling, I was like, what is this? What just happened? What just happened? Because it was a great game up until then. However, some of the puzzles started to get very, very illogical. And that's my problem with some puzzle games, is sometimes they try to do things that are way too esoteric to the point where it just doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like you thought you were being clever when you were designing this, I'm sure, but through testing, which I'm sure you did none of, it does not. There's no practical application for how this puzzle should be solved. You know what I mean?
I'm having so many flashbacks to all the point-and-click adventures I played as a kid. There's so many of that kind of puzzle.
Yeah, all that what was that called? Jump Frog, and all that stuff is all that stuff ended up being like miserable at some point, but yeah, or Jump Start rather. No, not Jump Frog. I mixed Leapfrog with Jump Start. That's what it is. So
okay,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's probably some cheap PC game on some CD back in the day that had like 10,000 games on it called that, because they had all their weird generic names.
That's what I call video games 10. I don't know. But,
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever I kept buying at the computer store and being mostly disappointed by.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I could spend $10 on this and get how many games? Yes. Oh man, these are all terrible.
Oh. No wonder
that's why they're all in a compilation.
No wonder it's cheap.
It's like, guys, if we work together, if we can tell them there's 20 games in here, we can get played. But yeah, but anyways, but Dream has a lot of illogical puzzles. Now, the puzzles that did work were really great, and they were really clever. The game isn't necessarily difficult when the puzzles do work, but it's not necessarily easy either. So it's pretty intermediate. But again, as you get towards the end, there's just a lot of puzzles where it's just like, I'm sorry, there's no actual logical way you would have figured this out. So I had to look some of these up, and even when you look some of them up, all the comments still doesn't make sense. Even though you find the solution and you look at the solution, I'm someone who likes to break things down also, right? Try to just deduce everything. Nope. I don't know how you got to that conclusion. You want to know why? Because there was no way to that conclusion. You either have the answer or you don't.
Yeah.
That's it. Someone's got to have the inside scoop from one of the developers, just like, yeah, man, the code is 47. How? Just is, dude.
Just is.
Try it out. Yeah, just is, man.
We did them
just
all.
Is.
We just went through them all and figured it out. What?
Yeah. just a Godspeed, bro.
Yeah.
Godspeed.
Did you call our pay hint line? There you go. That's how you get the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how they get the microtransaction. 99 cents to get the answer. So. But overall, I mean, I was pretty happy with the game, but it took a little bit longer than I would have liked. Not because of poor pacing per se, but again because of these illogical puzzles that made no sense. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're not Myst. You think you're Myst, you're not. Like, it's just stop it. Stop everything you're doing.
And let's be fair, Myst has some illogical puzzleness into that. There's some pretty obscure stuff in that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean the whole, it started to fall apart towards the end, unfortunately. But everything up until then was really, really good. And if you can find it on sale and you're kind of in the mood for something like that, I would actually recommend it, but definitely not full price. Stay away from something like that at full price, because there's much better games that, especially from like something like Artifacts Monday, you'll probably enjoy something like that much more. So, but yeah, so. In addition to that, because I needed somewhat of a breather, what do some people like to do when they need to go for a breather? They like to go for a drive. So I've been playing a little bit of again. I've been on that nostalgia train lately. So I went back and played a little bit of a Need for Speed Payback because that's like one of the only Need for Speeds that I really haven't played. Even though I bought it like forever ago, I bought like a deluxe edition. I bought a deluxe pack that came with Rivals, the 2013, I don't remember which one, the really bad one we don't talk about, and then Payback. I bought that on PlayStation a while back, and it had the deluxe edition for every single one, so it came with all the season pass content and whatnot. Um, but this was the one that when it came out, it was like, oh, so this is Fast and Furious, the game, basically, because the story is basically Fast and Furious. You have this crew of people, right? And they just, they got a race to save the world, basically. So, but yeah, I mean, honestly, like the game holds up surprisingly well. Like I'm playing it on Series X in particular. It looks really good still, and I don't know if it's the Frostbite engine or what, but like it holds up well
The
for a game
Frostbite
that's as
engine.
old as it. Yeah.
Frostbite engine games usually hold up pretty well for at least how they look.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I relatively impressed, honestly. But it doesn't do anything new per se. I mean, it's Need for Speed, so you kind of know what you're going into already. You're gonna go for that sort of arcadey, nature of racing, which I love. That's much what I prefer. But um, the story is it's there. That's kind of what I'm playing through at the moment. I just kind of want to go through just a simple story at the moment,
Right.
something short. And I think it's only like 5-6 hours if I'm not mistaken. But the customization's decent enough where you can make cars that you feel probably look cool and are happy with. But man, you can see because I remember they got a lot of hate for this back when Payback released, where they had a lot of microtransaction problems, and EA heard that and took it away. Basically, they took it down, but they're still kind of there in some regard, and it's like really bad, like stuff to just essentially the equivalent of loot boxes to get you a better engine. Like, what, huh? Why can't I just go to my friendly neighborhood shop and just be like, dude, I want to turn this V6 into a V8. Like, can we make that happen? Well, you got to gamble for it first. Like, I don't want to spend $500 real money to do that. Like, what?
Imagine
This
in
is
real life
not.
going to the car shop and be like, well, go to this slot machine over here to
Yeah.
find out what you're gonna get.
Sometimes I feel that way. No, just
It's like, dude, I've spent $100 so far, and all I've gotten is a pack of Skittles. What's going on? Like, I'm looking for car parts, man. Like, just keep trying, man. Yeah, you'll get it eventually.
Oh, we're sorry. We showed you the wrong one. That was the vending machine. Our bad.
whoops.
Yeah. Why does this one say Dr. Pepper on it? Oh, okay, never mind. The next one, the next one. But yeah, but it's fun so far, and I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I just wanted a kind of a simple sort of racing game to play and dive into. And because I never played this one, I was like, you know what, I'll jump into this one. I'm feeling some sort of, I want that sort of corny Fast and Furious sort of story at the moment, So let me play that. And I'm enjoying it so far. The controls are tight; they feel good. But the world is a little underwhelming, and I think that's always the most important part if you're going to have an open world racing game where it's like you got to make that world compelling. And this world, which is based off of Las Vegas, is not that compelling, honestly. It's like you see a couple of lights during the nighttime, but it's just basically all desert, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
I've yet to play an open world racing game that has a better world than Burnout Paradise did.
Yeah.
well, yeah, Burnout Paradise was brilliant. I mean,
It's like the perfect size to where you can have it be big and feel like a big enough world, but it's not too big that you can't learn pretty much the whole thing if you spend enough time going through and know which way you're going and find all the cool little hidden areas that like, hey, there's a cool jump here and a cool shortcut there. You could learn it. Whereas, a lot of like games of many types these days. Hey, our map is 500,000 square kilometers, and it takes light speed to get across it because it's so big. And I'm like, but there's nothing there.
Yeah.
yeah. I think one of the most frustrating parts about this game too is like the nitrous doesn't really feel. I think nitrous, if you have nitrous, it's important to make it feel like it's actually like making you go fast. And like the nitrous only lasts about 2 seconds, even with upgrades. And then on top of that, you're only really going like you went from 70 to 80. Cool.
Ooh.
Burn.
Like that. Yeah, like that. What did that help?
That's
Like
not a boost. Come on.
No, yeah. Oh, great! I made it to work 15 seconds earlier.
Yeah.
Like
If that.
If that, yeah.
Well, you're bouncing
So,
off of something else, So.
Yeah, it's like it's stupid, but overall, I'm surprised how well the game holds up, though. Honestly, now
It's only what,
I
5 years old? I think
something
it was
like that.
2017 or
That sounds right.
somewhere
Around
in
there.
there.
Yeah, around there, like 2016, 2017, around there for sure.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad they took time off because Need for Speed Heat I actually really liked. So that was kind of a not necessarily a return to form, but it just felt a lot more well put together and it was like packaged properly without bombarding you with microtransactions and stuff like that. So, and I'm hoping the next one, since they're not doing it yearly anymore, because Heat came out 2 years ago, I think, maybe 3 years ago. So it's been a while. So I'm hoping now with the new Need for Speed, which maybe we'll see this year, who knows? Because I think it's about time for a new one. That'll be good. Which actually, I don't think EA bought Codemasters, right? Like they're the ones that did Grid and like Dirt and all that. So technically, I could be wrong, but aren't they? Didn't they get assigned to do the new Need for Speed now? I could be wrong. Don't quote me.
No idea.
I'll look it up.
Okay, thank you. But if they're doing it, I think the new Need for Speed is going to be really, really good. Because Ghost games, they tried, man. And like they had a lot of good ideas, but they're not what the old NFS studio used to be. And uh, they Ghost Games feels like more like a support studio than an actual like, okay, we're in charge of the development of everything type of studio.
Back in February, EA stated the new Need for Speed title would be released before the end of 2023, and Crichton and Codemasters Cheshire was developing it.
Oh, nice. So Codemasters is on it. Cool. So I wonder what's happened to Ghost Games then, because they've kind of been on NFS Studio for a bit, and but are they just getting like defunct? Is EA just throwing them out of the window, or like
they just did
disappearing like a ghost?
Didn't they do a new Grid game?
Oh, they did the new Grid?
Not Grid Legends, is that right? Did they do Grid?
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was them.
I don't know if it was or not.
I thought that was Codemasters. Oh, okay.
That's what I'm going to see here. If I can get my.
Because I like Grid a lot. Actually, I haven't played Grid Legends.
No, that was Swordfish Studios that did.
Oh, okay. So I guess Ghost Games, yeah.
I don't know. Let's just see.
EA's just they're gonna treat them like they did Visceral. It's just like, just shut it down.
Visceral, like a bajillion studios over like so many years at this point. There's a nice list of studios that have been shuttered after being bought by EA.
Let's see. I don't know when this was, but the people ask, why did EA shut down Ghost Games? EA is shutting down the Ghost Games studios that developed the last 4 Need for Speed titles, putting 30 jobs at risk. Ghost Games is to be dissolved, with the Swedish premise turned into an engineering hub to assist in development across the EA portfolio. So,
see, I told you they're a support studio. They're not. Because that's what these games feel like. They feel like they were made by a support
This was a story from 2 years ago. So.
Oh wow! Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, so it's been a while then. Okay.
We're really behind on that. Apparently, it came
yeah. Or we knew about it, then forgot about it, and have rediscovered it.
Yeah, that probably.
That's true. Yeah. Well, if it's not too late, I hope everyone finds a new job.
I hope that they found one well before now. If it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just hoping this next Need for Speed like really knocks it out of the water, which I have faith because Codemasters is a really, really talented team.
Yeah.
Like they tend to knock it out of the park more often than not, even though they more so work on like simulators more so than arcadey stuff. They have done arcadey stuff, but I feel like a bulk of their library and a bulk of their talents are usually focused more on the simulation side of things. So I'm sure they can still make a great
I'm
Need for
sure.
Speed that's arcadey. So yeah, unless they end up doing a new like Shift,
And
because
with
Need for Speed Shift
them
was
and
more
Crichton working
simulation.
on it, it should be good.
Yeah. So, all right. I mean, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, wow. Okay, rest in peace. Ghost games. I'm about to ghost now. So, jeez. But yeah. Anyways,
sorry
lastly,
to dig up a 2-year-old wound.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but hopefully, Codemasters, man, that would be because Codemasters has a big history. Imagine if EA shut them down. Like, man, like,
I
that
don't
would be.
see that happening. They're
No, neither do I. Neither do I. But just imagine, like,
Don't
that
worry,
would.
they'll shut them down either like completely or in the form of like the actual studio is not the same. They've gutted it and re-staffed it and
Right.
still have the name, but it's not
Yeah.
really the same thing.
Yeah.
Either one of those things seems to be the end for most studios that EA has control of. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
they just eventually just grind them into their or just reshape them to something else to try and get more people on their big games that get them lots of money.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
you
a shame.
don't want to work on FIFA? Too bad.
Yeah.
Or whatever it's going to be named now that it's not going to be FIFA.
That's true. What are they? Probably just EA Sports Soccer. Didn't they say that? Something like that? Or
No,
maybe they haven't revealed it yet, but I could have
there is
sworn it.
some name for it. I just forgot off the top of my head
Oh,
what it
okay.
is.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see where that brand goes. But anyways,
Yeah.
but yeah, lastly, I've been playing a little bit of V Rising. We got a code sent to us. I have written a
There
review.
you go.
Actually, I just finished the review, and so I'll put that up soon. Get all the necessary assets going. But yeah, no, I mean it's basically, I mean, pretty much to echo what Nathaniel said last time. It's a really fun game. I've been getting a lot of vibes though, more so of I know a lot of people have been comparing it to Valheim.
It's
I've
not like Valheim at all.
No, I get more vibes of like Diablo and Dragon Quest builders. Like that's the vibe I've been getting as I've been playing it. And
Well, yeah, it's
just
very much Diablo, but you also have to chop trees.
yeah, right, exactly.
and
And
then
like
build your castle tiles.
right, and I think that's why it reminds me so much of Dragon Quest Builders, because Dragon Quest Builders is an RPG that has those sorts of mechanics, right? Where
Right.
like you need to build, all
Yeah.
these,
Stuff with
areas
a
to
little bit
get the
less
resources.
structure than what Dragon Quest Builders has.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, because the story's not really immediately apparent. They just kind of give you like a cinematic when you turn it on, where it's just like, "Hey, you're rising from the dead. The humans won, but
Yeah, I mean, it's
rise
not a
back." And
story type game. It's very much like a
right,
survival game, like anything from Rust to whatever, where there's not really a story to those games. It's more like,
yeah,
here's a
Right.
setting that we're putting you in. We've got a little bit of lore to tie you in so that you get interested. And then here you go. Here's all the mechanics and stuff that
yeah,
you want to go get the cool stuff, build the bigger things, the more powerful things, get all the weapons,
right. Yeah, and honestly, I mean,
etc.
it's been working so far. I mean, credit where credit's due. I mean, it does what it does very well. And
Yeah.
for being an early access title, like I'm actually surprised, like because this could have easily released as like, all right, here's our 1.0 build, but like the fact that it's considered early access, it's already better than most other games in this genre, I feel, personally.
Yeah, it's pretty
But
good. And they've also recently said that they are, taking a bit of a kind of break, although there's still doing some bug fixes and stuff like that. But they're going to go through all the data from the lots and lots of players that they've had at launch, see just kind of like what people want and all that stuff for making a big, full roadmap for exactly what they want to add to it. They've got some ideas, but
I want to play
it's gonna be exciting.
It's just that if I play it right now, it's going to have to be on Steam Deck, and without it having controller support, it's not going to play real well on Steam Deck. I have a feeling, controller wise. I mean, game wise, it should play fine, but I think there's some controller modifications done by some of the community that might work, but
yeah, I was
still
like, I'm
haven't
sure there's
bothered
some
yet.
mod that technically makes it work, but even without that, it's a difficult controller game. If you're just activating it, you'd have to make some UI changes and
Right.
things to make it really work well with a controller,
Yeah.
just from all the different menus that you have to interact with.
Yeah. So I'm kind of waiting,
All your
or
crafting
eventually.
stations.
I say I'm going to wait, but I'll probably buy it and play it when I have time to play it on the PC. I don't
Yeah.
always have time to come down here and sit and play on the PC, where my Steam Deck goes with me as I go. So
Yeah, I need to start putting some more time in it again because I've only gotten like a little bit into the stuff. I've got like copper weapons or something, so I haven't even gone to like the other biomes yet, other than the first one.
yeah.
Yeah,
But man, I was like mining a bunch of stones so I could build my castle.
that's what I was doing. I really wanted to build an awesome castle. So, but it's really cool because like these resources evolve over time as you get more recipes and more just crafting elements and stuff like that too, which you can get through basically you can track like targets basically, and they don't explicitly put it on the map for you, but there's this sort of like blood trail, the scent that you get that you have to follow as you're tracking these enemies, and each time you kill one of the enemies um, from your targeted list, you do get more abilities that way. And the abilities, there's a lot. It's crazy, and you can
Oh
mix and
yeah.
match any way you want. It's wild. Like it's insane. So you can really come up with some insane strategies, and just go balls to the wall while you're out and about, you know. But the game's really great, and I think it's for what it is. It's actually really accessible, which I think is the most important part. Because Valheim, my biggest problem with Valheim was like I didn't know what I was doing half the time, and nothing ever made sense. And I crafted a little bit, I built a nice little shed, and I was like, that's it for me. So,
But this
uh,
one is kind of like an in between. So you have like a Valheim or any other kind of survival that's like that, where it's pretty much just like go figure it out. We're not gonna hold your hand too much,
yeah,
and then it's like very open sandboxy kind of game. And then you have like the other end of the spectrum would be like a Diablo action RPG, something like that. And this is somewhat kind of in the middle, where it has bits and pieces of both. So it has a little bit more structure in that you have kind of almost not really a quest, but you have like a thing at the big top corner that's like go get such and such resource, or
yeah,
build this bench and interact with it. And in order to do that, you have to go, oh, okay, well, to unlock that recipe, you have to go kill this mini boss, and I have to go over here, and it works together very well.
Yeah.
yeah. I think what really helped me get into it more too was also the fact that there's a very easy to read and seamless tutorial that it kind of walks you through at first.
Yeah.
So once you get sort of used to the menus and the systems, then you can kind of go out on your own and do whatever. But yeah, it's just the way it's set up entirely is to me just
It's extremely useful, and it works out really well.
the way that it does. So um, but yeah, I mean, I'm loving it so far. But I'm pretty much done with the review. I don't want to you know kind of expose everything because I would like people to read the review. But I've been enjoying my time with it. It's been really hard to put down, honestly. It's super enjoyable. But I think it's important to note that games like these, usually more often than not, they always want you to play with other people. But V Rising, I think, is as someone who's been playing solo the entire time, it's been great.
Oh
Honestly,
yeah,
it's been
it
it's
plays well
been
solo. That's what
Yeah.
I've been
yeah.
doing as well.
Yeah, and it's been really great and very accommodating for it. And yeah, I mean, I got my own sort of server going on, and I know you can have like I think you can invade other people's servers, or you can steal other people's like chests and things like that. You can go into other people's castles if you want. But I don't have it set up like that. I don't, I just have a normal PvE solo thing. So just kind of enjoying the world and the lore of everything. So yeah.
I think it's just cool that they have a really nice solid base of a game that has quite a bit of features already. And where's it going to be in like a year or a year and a half,
Yeah.
2 years, however long they're in early access? When they get that 1.0 release, what will it look like then? Because they're already at a really good place, which means
Yeah, they had a
they're
great
not
one.
going to be working on the getting it to work as much as some early
Right.
access games because they're all buggy or whatever. This one's got some bugs and things in it a little bit here and there, but it's pretty solid for the most part. So they can just work on adding more features and stuff more than you
Yeah.
might if you didn't have as solid of a base to start with.
Well, that's what I'm excited for. Is I think just the amount of content that's going to come in the future, because I think there's a lot of exciting things you can do with a game like this that otherwise, like you said, I mean, most early access games are always
Yeah.
they come out and then they're just like, all right, what are the bugs people are having? Let's flesh this out. And then after that, it's then the content comes,
Right.
But now it's just like we can just focus straight on the content and give people, like awesome updates every time, pretty much.
Yeah. It's on my list. I need to pick it up. And I will
But yeah,
at some point.
that's everything.
All right.
But yeah, that's everything we've been playing.
Well, let's jump in real quick. The state of play was this week from Sony. Boy, a lot of people online thought it was really good. I thought it was kind of meh.
Good. Oh man,
it was
you set your bar too high, John.
No,
It's like it's a state of play. They have some actual recognizable big games in it. Therefore, it was a pretty good state of play. Is it as good as other things or as exciting as like a Sony press conference would be? Nah.
No,
But it's still, for what they usually put into state of play, is this one is a decent version of a state of play.
I had no expectations going into it other than with it being kind of tied to kicking off the Summer Game Fest as they kept doing online.
That's a last second thing where they were just trying to get people to watch it. It's still just a normal state.
But
it has nothing to do with the rest of it.
Here's my thing. Here's my thing with the state of play during the month of June when you're not doing an E3 press conference and stuff like that. This is where you come out, I think, with your first party and your stuff that you've got coming out. I mean, not fine. Resident Evil 4 remake, wonderful. A lot of people like Resident Evil 4. Doesn't interest me. Street Fighter 6 doesn't interest me. Final Fantasy 15 or 16 doesn't interest me.
I mean, it's a bad thing. It just means it's not interesting to you. Well, that doesn't mean it's a bad show. And also, they came out and said kind of what to expect beforehand. Right. So it's not like they were going to show a bunch of big first-party things, cools, reveals. That's not what it was for.
No, to me, a state of play at this time of year needs to be a.
But that's not when Sony's been doing stuff. It just so happens to be at the beginning of June, but when they're doing their big stuff, it's later in the summer.
Yeah, but
that's when they would do it. They wouldn't do it now. Because Sony doesn't want to do it when everyone else is doing the same thing because they're being Sony. That's it.
And I don't like that. I don't like that. I think it's I just don't like
I mean, I agree. That's kind of silly, but
everybody else
where they're coming from, but at the same time, I think it's a dumb way for them to think. But that's just
I mean, everybody this time of year comes out swinging, and we'll just wait, and then I don't
because it's just where Sony is right now. They're the big dog on top. They don't have to care and do anything about anybody else. They just know that if they put out something, by themselves when nothing else is going on, people will watch it and get excited about it. Like, oh, hey, we're going to reveal God of War now. Cool. Like they know people will watch it.
Or they will reveal Spider-Man coming to PC, and I actually saw grown men online crying because it was coming on PC. That was I did. I saw videos of
an old game too.
Yeah, there was several
game
videos.
Is 6 years old at this point.
What was hilarious was there were several videos of people doing live reaction things, like they always do. And there was there was like a collection of them, and a bunch of guys when it came on, they thought it was Spider-Man 2. And then when they saw it was coming to PC, it was like,
guys, when they say a fan favorite, that means it's something that's already been out.
Oh my gosh.
Now see, you call it old, but there's an older game that might have made me cry, or at least want to cry. If they had said Bloodborne coming to PC, that would have been amazing.
Yeah,
but they're never going to do that.
They weren't
happy tears.
Those would be happy tears. These guys were not crying for happy tears. These guys were crying because now Spider-Man is coming to PC, and they just were
that's
totally
just
distraught.
Dumb people being dumb.
It is dumb people being dumb.
Hey, here's this cool thing. It's called Spider-Man is a giant property that is loved by many people, sold lots and lots of copies, millions of copies on the PlayStation. And hey, guess what? They want to sell millions more on another platform.
Yeah,
and they're going to because it's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Come on.
They've between the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, they sold 33 million copies of that game, they said, which I understand because if you wanted to buy the remastered version, you had to buy Miles Morales. So, you're
which is also coming to PC just a little bit later this year. Both will be out. One I think is July, and then the other one I think in the fall. They said.
I know. Well, no, remastered is August and.
Oh, August. Okay, so it was August,
Miles
and then
Morales is in the fall. I think.
Yeah. Miles is a little bit later. I just didn't remember when.
I couldn't either. Yeah. But let's see. The Roller Dome is coming. That looked pretty cool. I didn't realize that was the Ollie people. At first.
I saw that and I was so confused at first because I thought it was going to be Sable, and I was like, wait, no, the art style is directly ripped from Sable, but this gameplay is not Sable. I don't know what this is.
Let's see. Like I said, Final Fantasy or Resident Evil 4 remake or remaster, whatever they call it's coming to PS5.
I assume it'll be the same as like RE2 and RE3. Just they're doing RE4 now, but it also might not be as different as those two because it's a little bit closer, just because of what RE4 was originally.
Yeah. Resident Evil Village is for PSVR 2. The PSVR stuff I thought was kind of interesting because there was one of the PSR or PSVR games. It wasn't No Man's Sky. It was maybe
Walking
The Walking
Dead.
Dead. On one of the press releases, it actually said It said releases in 2022, but the PSVR 2 doesn't come out this year.
I would assume the game does, and it's just coming to more than just that platform.
It's coming to PS4 VR. Is what it is. So, you're still getting some trickles of PS4 VR
Did the first Saints and Sinners come on other stuff than PlayStation?
It did. It's on Oculus and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I would assume it's coming to like all sorts of on PC and stuff too for the sequel as well.
Yeah. The thing that I was really interested in was we finally got a launch date for Stray. That game is the one that I've been looking forward to since they announced PlayStation 4.
I'm not looking forward to it because I still don't know what that game is. Like,
I don't
either.
It looks
pretty,
it looks cool,
but it's just like, look, there's a cat walking around a steampunk or cyberpunky kind of looking city, but what is the actual game? They showed a little bit more kind of gameplay looking stuff in this than they have in the previous trailer, so I don't know. It could be cool.
Yeah.
We'll see, yeah.
But man, that Final Fantasy 16 trailer, I know a lot of Final Fantasy fans were really excited about that. It just, meh.
I just didn't care.
I
mean, it looks like Final Fantasy. It looks cool, but I don't know. Maybe this one, if they, because aren't they getting away from the turn-based stuff? It's all action now, so maybe that will be what will finally get me to like a Final Fantasy game. I don't know, but
I'm the opposite.
Probably not.
It's getting away from the turn-based style makes me less likely to like the Final Fantasy games. I mean,
you're talking to someone. I played 13 for maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 hours. I played 15 for maybe 10. I tried playing the 7 remake when it came to PlayStation Plus or something and didn't even get past the tutorial part. It's just like something about Final Fantasy specifically. I don't know what it is, just the vibe of those games, I guess. I just don't quite, I haven't ever gotten into them. It doesn't quite land with me for whatever reason. Like there's other JRPGs I've played that I really liked. It's just something about Final Fantasy. I don't know what it is. Maybe I've played the wrong ones.
Maybe I've liked the old ones, but usually much past 10 or 11, other than the MMOs, I haven't really cared for any of the Final Fantasy. And this one, watching this trailer, it looked pretty, but I didn't know what the heck was going on, and it just I was like, and I just looked at
part of what it is about previous Final Fantasies is they've always had this reputation of like very pretty. They have the really shiny, pretty awesome cutscenes, at least, at a certain point once they started doing those. But then the gameplay is way too busy with the UI for the most part. At least of the ones I've played, it's just like it's confusing. You're trying to figure out what's going on. If you ever put it down and come back, and even just a little bit later, you're like, wait, how do I do this again?
It's like you might as well just start over.
Like, what was this weird, super crazy button combo to do the weird, crazy thing? It's like, never mind. I don't know.
Horizon Call the Mountain. I don't know if I want to play Horizon Zero Dawn.
That is really weird. I get why you would use that because it's one of your bigger brands, so you want somewhat of a VR experience in it because it'll look really pretty in VR and looking around. But that game, the regular one, is so much about like frantic combat dive rolling around, trying to dodge things and then fire off a few arrows into weak spots or set some traps and do this. It's very quickly, fast-paced things, at least the combat part of it is, that you can't really do that in VR because then people will either be getting sick or just like bashing into things because they're trying to do stuff too fast. So like, how do you translate that to VR? And we didn't really figure that out because this trailer is more about like, look how pretty it is.
Yeah, I mean, it looks a lot better than the first trailer they showed. You could definitely tell a difference in the trailers. I mean, but I don't know.
I mean, one cool thing from all these like VR 2, which still grain of salt because we haven't seen it, but like they look prettier than the previous gen of VR games because the PS5 lets them push more through. So we know they will look pretty, but
that's
who knows if they will actually still look like this or not? Because the hardware ain't out yet. We don't know what it'll do.
And then they how do you say that? Callisto
Callisto Protocol,
Callisto.
aka Dead Space.
Right, and it is
Because
the
it's
Dead Space
Dead
people.
Space, like one of the co-creators of Dead Space is making that game, and boy, does it look it, and it's awesome. But it's also
When I saw the
multi-platform, so
trailer,
you
I
can
was
play
sold.
it.
Yeah, you can play it
pretty
anywhere. 95% of everything that they showed.
I mean, that's how like
now, so.
a lot of stuff like
Yeah,
press conferences at E3 in the past without like if it wasn't the first party, this is a Halo game or this is whatever on Sony, this is God of War. If it wasn't that, then you're like they're not going to tell you it's multi-platform, but
right.
chances are
Yeah,
probably is.
Yeah, even Street Fighter 6, which 5 was, it was locked PlayStation.
Street Fighter
4,
6
so.
looks so weird.
It does look weird. And then at first I was like, okay, at the beginning of that trailer, I was like, okay, this is a Street Fighter game. I know it is. I can tell by the look of it. But is it going to be like an open world fighting game? And then it's like, no, it's just a regular old fighting game with just nicer graphics. The whole walking around thing was just kind of
really, because I didn't think the graphics looked that nice.
Well,
I thought it was like, this looks like Street Fighter V, but it's Street Fighter V in my brain as a game I never played. So it's kind of like me imagining what it looked like.
Right.
So it probably actually does look. But then I'm looking at it, it's like comparing it to other games is like, if you have a fighting game that's pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? But it's like very focused. You're in like an arena and you have two fighters and they're going at it. You can really amp up how it looks. Same with kind of like driving games. Cars, you can amp up the materials on it and make it reflective. It looks pretty. It should, look really good. I think a lot of the like weird, I say particle, but it was more like kind of like paint wipey effects that they're doing in the trailer. If that's actually in the game, could look cool, but that's only going to be on some special moves and stuff.
Right.
The actual models and stuff themselves, I'm like, they look fine, but there wasn't anything that was like, ooh, this is cool. Like, I really want to play this game. It was just like, I guess, I don't know. If you're someone who likes Street Fighter, you're probably like, yes, this is cool. I will play it, and it doesn't really matter. If you're someone who's not into like those fighting games as much, other than maybe dabble if it looks cool, it didn't have anything for me. But that's fine. It's still cool they're doing Street Fighter 6.
Right. Yeah. My thing with my takeaway from the state of play was if you like horror games and fighting game, this was the state of play for you.
There were a lot of kind of like horror games, yeah.
And see, and I don't play horror games. I just don't care for them. So, and maybe that's why it was just kind of like meh for me. It's like
they also have good PlayStation people getting Tunic. So if you don't have an Xbox, you can get Tunic, which
is
that was I was chatting with some people when it was on, and I was like, hey, Tunic is pretty cool. I might just go play it on my Xbox after this is over.
Yeah. But I'm glad to see it, only take 4 months to come to PlayStation. It wasn't like a year or something crazy. It came pretty quick.
Yeah, some crazy exclusivity like that. Which honestly, I mean, I think they probably also did that on purpose, just to kind of be like, look, we're not to once again show that Xbox is. They're not the bad guys, right? It's like, look, it's only a couple months instead of the entire year that is usually done on PlayStation, and then probably a year after that, like in the case of Retrograde, just so they can renew it, for Final Fantasy VII.
Well, it doesn't even make sense to do that for a game as small as like Tunic. It's like, okay, give it a few months, there you go.
And Microsoft has no money. Well, they don't. They've already got their money. They put money in it to help finish it. They got money. They paid money to put it on Game Pass, so they're not. Who cares if it goes to PlayStation? And plus Stray
has gone around with it.
Yeah, and Stray's going to be on the PlayStation Plus Game Pass paid $15. I don't even know what it's called.
It's on this one or that one, but not the other one that's normal. It's just like it's so confusing.
It's on the $15 tier, whatever they
that's
call
cool, but it's yet to be seen if they're going to keep doing this type of thing, or if it's just like one here, one there.
Yeah, and
how regular is it going to be?
Yeah, and that's why I'm waiting. Let me see how regular it's going to be before I pony up my $15 a month. So
that's also how often are they going to add games to it? Are they going to be doing it, every month, several titles like Game Pass does, or whatever? It's like
Game Pass puts what 6 to 8 on the first of the month and 5 to 6 at the end of the month. So I mean,
it's also like because I have both, I ain't getting the PlayStation one because I've already got Game Pass. So if there's
Right.
overlap,
Yeah.
I've already got it there. And if it's
Yeah.
something that I want to play on the PlayStation, it's probably something I could just buy there and
Exactly.
be fine with it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like with Stray. I haven't even decided if I'm really going to buy it on PlayStation or not. Because it's going to be available on Steam. It's 10% off right now. I may just buy it and play it on my Steam Deck. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, because that's especially for you, that's where you'd most likely have the time to play it
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly. So yeah.
Yeah.
I wish more Steam games, PC games had, and console games had file sharing, save sharing. I wish they all did that. Yeah, if it's on PlayStation, if it's on Xbox, if it's on PC, just make it so I can move my saves between those things. That would be great because I would, it's. If I play something on Xbox, that I play on Steam Deck too. It's like I understand.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
tricky
it's
because
annoying
you
how
have to be
sort of-
big enough that you can have your own
Right.
cloud service that it goes to that your games can link to, and not small games aren't going to be able to do that.
Right now, the
let
only
alone
game
even
that
some
I'm
medium games.
yeah, the only game that I know of that really does that right now is Hades, which is weird. Hades has cross save, which is
Yeah, they
really
added
weird.
that at some point, but
Yeah.
also Ubisoft, some of their recent stuff does that. So like some of the
Yeah,
last
actually-
couple Assassin's Creed games and stuff like
Yeah.
that, they'll do that.
Yeah,
Actually,
but the
I think
trouble
with
is
Ubisoft-
Ubisoft's not on Steam, so it's like.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying as far
Yeah,
as like between platforms,
right,
not
yeah.
Steam
Oh,
particularly.
The Witcher does that too. Actually, The Witcher does that between Switch and PC. Not with Xbox or PlayStation, but Switch
Right.
and PC. You
It
can
does
cross
switch to
save.
PC, which
Yeah.
is weird. I don't know why it doesn't do that
Yeah.
on Xbox. It's odd.
It's
but-
because they added it when they did the Switch port.
Okay. Yeah, the Sonic Frontiers gameplay was shown. It was.
That game looks like trash.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
You know what it looks like to me? It looks like somebody took some, like they went into like Unreal Engine 5 or whatever engine they're doing. They went into the store and bought some generic terrain, didn't change anything about it, then
Yeah.
threw Sonic in with a completely different art style to this realistic terrain and said,
Yeah.
good enough. It looks so bad.
I honestly-
You could take all of the Sonic and the platform stuff out of that, put them in a completely different environment, and it will look so much better just because you could match it to like art style. But because like these crazy big landscapes that are like so far away that it doesn't matter, it's just like, what are you thinking? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what this is.
Honestly, I think, unfortunately, just from first impressions, obviously, I try to stay optimistic, but just from
I'm
first
not.
impressions alone, I think it'll be Sonic 06 all over again. I really do. Where Sonic 06 also had that clashing art style of like, here's human beings and like these realistic sort of areas and landscapes, except it wasn't open world. Obviously, it was much more
Yeah.
linear, but.
At-
But yeah, I mean, we'll end up seeing. But that first impressions for that weren't good. Everything felt so empty.
It did. It felt real empty. Of course,
Yeah.
it's just a preview video, so it's not. We don't
Yeah.
even know how early in development it is. Who knows? It may
If they're
be.
showing it, then they shouldn't have shown it if it's actually alpha footage or something like it looks
Right.
like. And if it's not, then what
Well,
are
I
you
thought it was
doing?
supposed to come out this holiday, was it not? But I think it got delayed. No, I can't
No,
remember.
I have
there's
no
there was
idea.
no release date tagged to it, as far as I know.
I mean, at
Oh,
this
okay.
point, we've had far more bad Sonic games than we've had good ones, so
Yeah.
your expectations have to be kind of low, especially
I
when you
mean-
see something like this. You're like, I don't know
Yeah.
how much they can improve that before it comes out.
Yeah. All right,
yeah,
and finally, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet release dates, which we all knew they would come out holiday this year, unless they were.
Yeah, that was
No,
not
there
gonna
was,
surprise
that
anybody.
was not a question.
Well, I am so surprised. There are Pokemon games that are going to be coming out. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I saw the announcement of the trailer. I haven't even watched the trailer yet. It's like, okay, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Okay, cool.
Hey, I bet Scarlet and Violet has absolutely nothing to do with the color of the Pokemon. Even though it should. That would be funny.
It may. I don't know.
You buy this one, they're all scarlet colored. You buy the other one, they're all violet colored. So everyone can tell at a glance which one you're playing.
So
Honestly, I mean, it is interesting that like this time around, like it's not only are they going back to colors, which they haven't done in a bit, but like there really is no. I mean, like they are red and sort of purplish colored, like you would expect the legendaries, but outside of that, there's no real significance to the names as we know right now. Yeah.
Other than they'll have different Pokemon on each.
Pokemon, give us cash 1 and give us cash 2.
Yeah. So this is open. I'm going to take it as open world like the last Pokemon
First
game.
ever, yeah, except this one is true open world, none of that hub nonsense that Arceus had. So
Gotcha.
this one's gonna be like, just the moment you're in, that's it, go, have at it, and it's non-linear this time too. So, but I'm sure, like, I wonder how gym badges are gonna work. I think so long as you can get to that level, you can just walk into a gym, unless it's absolutely necessary. Because before you always had to have the gym badge before the next one, in a certain order,
Yeah.
right? But I wonder if now, like, you can just, if you have a Pokemon that's level 36 and you think you can handle badge number 3 without having gotten badge number 1 or 2 right now, can you just go straight to badge number 3 and, get that badge before
Right.
you get the rest? So it'll be interesting because they were trying to emphasize the non-linearity of it this time around. So, but yeah, it remains to be seen.
So
Make
it's
it like Breath of the Wild, where you can just go and beat the big one at the end, but it probably isn't likely.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
So
your Pokemon just goes out and like freezes in place, like looks scared, just like explodes.
Yeah.
So it says it has multiplayer. Is it like you play the game multiplayer, or is it just?
Yeah.
I mean, is it just certain regions? Is it or can you play the entire game multiplayer?
It seems like you can play the entire thing. Yeah, you can have up to 4 people that it basically like an MMO like party style. You can just jump in and get a server going basically and just enjoy the story together.
Now
There's
other
where they're
question-
missing money. Like, what if they did a Pokemon MMO? They would
Which
make
should
so
have been
much
done
money
years
with
ago.
that
Oh, yeah, they
stuff.
would.
Years
Like,
and years
good
ago.
lord, just think of it like, yeah, like they don't even have to do anything super crazy with it. Just make it a
No.
big world that a bunch of
Right.
people can
Well, here's
go
the
in and
thing,
trade their Pokemon like you would in a like take the kind of base that you would have with any regular game and just blow it up to MMO size.
Yeah.
Boom, done.
Well, here's the thing
Print the
too, is
money.
like I've played, yeah, exactly, and like I've years and years ago. When I say years and years ago, I mean like probably the better part of 6, 7, 8 years ago. I've played fan-made Pokemon MMO games where basically they just take the ROMs. The one that I played in particular that I spent the most time on. When I say a lot of time, I'm talking 100+ hours, like an MMO. Like where you would basically get the ROMs for Sapphire and Ruby. And then you'd have to get one more ROM for Heart Gold for some reason. And then you would put them all in this little application. And then from there, it would just initiate a server, and anyone and everyone who was playing that, you could jump in, and it was awesome. You would just play it on your PC, and it was like you would go through these towns that you would just in the game, but you'd see people running around everywhere, and you could talk to people. There was a chat box. There was, all this cool stuff, and even new implementations as well. They added new cities, a character customization as well, but still with that, pixel art. And it was awesome, man. And you had the animations that you had from Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which is probably why they added that, because they're just like, we need some data from here to kind of help with the functionalities of some other things. But man, it was awesome. It was awesome. I missed that thing. I spent so many hours on that. But imagine if that was official, right?
Oh yeah,
Where
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
the scale of that, and mind you, this entire thing was free. I didn't spend a dime on this thing, and I already
Right.
spent so much money. There weren't any pay to play elements to it at all. There was no shop other than the new shops that they put in there that you would just use from the money you got from winning battles. That was it, right? So like you would not spend they had a donation thing, if you wanted to help fund the like further development of the project, so the MMO would keep going. But otherwise, no money. You didn't have to spend a dime, which I never did. And but imagine if there was an official thing and they had, they could get away with microtransactions and stuff like that, and people would spend millions of dollars on
I'm
it.
thinking of it right now. It's called World of Pokemon. It's so easy. Come on,
It
it's
writes
not
itself.
difficult, man.
It's easy. Yeah.
Yeah, Pokemon World.
Yeah.
So
No, you got to say World of Pokemon, so it
World of
sounds like
Pokemon.
WoW. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, well,
Wop.
WAP instead of WoW. That'd be WAP.
Whop those Pokemon.
WAP.
So I wonder if it doesn't matter. I wonder if it matters what version you have. Like if I have Scarlet and you have Violet, would we be able to play together?
So right now, it seems like the only real difference between the versions, you can absolutely play with each other, but the only difference that you'll see really is that your costumes will be changed. Because I think with Scarlet, you have an orange you have orange pants, and then you have blue pants in the Violet. But But it's an interesting thing to bring up though, right? Because of the Pokemon exclusives
Right?
on
Yeah. I
each
mean,
one.
there's
So I am kind of curious about how that would work. But I think
Here's the
yeah.
thing: like, if people would just stop freaking buying these, they could simplify it and just make one Pokemon game each time. Like, there's never enough differences to justify 2 games. It's so dumb.
Well,
Yeah.
And yet people still buy them in the millions, so that's why they keep doing it.
the only
Yeah, well, I'm
reason
only
we
ever
ever
gonna-
bought two copies was because Nikki wanted to play. So I would buy Sword and she would buy Shield, or that's the only reason we ever bought 2 copies of the game. I never went out and this one has a 2-pack. She probably won't play it, so it's like, well, I'll just buy one or the other. I'm not going to buy both of them because I'm not going to play it twice. I'm just not. I'm either going to play one or the other. So, I'm interested. I'm always interested in new Pokemon. The online multiplayer interests me a lot because I would probably play the game more if we could play it together.
Ooh, I got another idea: Sea of Pokemon, just for John.
Just for me. You're on a boat the whole time.
You're
all water
a
Pokemon. It's
you're a Pokepirate.
a Pokepirate. That sounds terrible.
You don't even have to change. It's just like it's a reskin of Sea of Thieves. You keep the same kind of like engine because it's already cartoony looking. We could work something out.
After me watching our flag means death, Pokepirate is not a
that's a whole different connotation.
That's a whole different connotation in that show. And you say a Pokepirate, it was just like, oh Lord, okay, that brought me back to some things I saw on there. I thought of you the other day, Nathaniel.
Not me. Okay.
Well,
I guess you too. I mean,
thanks, John. That means a lot.
Nathaniel's the one I thought of first because hang on, I'm trying to log into Steam and they've got to send me a code. All right, so now I can pull up my wish list. There was a game. Where is my wish list? There it is, wish list. There's a game coming out. Where is it at? It's called Salt 2 Shores of Gold. The people are fans of Sea of Thieves, but this is a procedurally generated single player, not online, you don't play with anybody, Sea of Thieves game. With fishing, with ships, with going on islands. And the first person I thought of was you. I was like, you would love this game because you could go fishing.
Maybe
you could do that.
Procedurally generated has me scared because procedurally generated can go so wrong in so many ways.
Yeah,
make it just kind of boring. I mean, that's one fun thing about Sea of Thieves is it's all crafted, so you have your unique areas.
Right.
So if it's just I have to randomly find a place or whatever, it's not as much fun for some things, but it just depends on the game.
Yeah, it's coming out in early access at some point. It says it's planned for August. But yeah, I mean, and I saw it's like, oh, it's got fishing. You can decorate your ship. I mean, it looks a lot like Sea of Thieves, but it's not online Sea of Thieves. So
yeah, that can be cool.
Yeah, it could be. I'm interested in it too. I added it to my wish list. I might pick it up when it comes out. I'd like to get into the beta.
Half of my wish list is stuff I know I want, then the other half is stuff that is more like I've bookmarked it to check later and see if it turns out well.
yeah, that's the way mine is too. So, all right. Well, anything else before we call that a show? Anything that we might have missed? I know this week starts. When does the summer game stuff start? Is that
Thursday?
I'm not entirely
Thursday?
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Thursday is the live stream. Yep.
Okay, Thursday's the live stream, and then Sunday the 12th is the Xbox thing. And
there's a bunch of other smaller things here, there, everywhere this whole month. It's just go find on any kind of games site like IGN or GameSpot or whatever. They probably have a list of here's all the things and where to watch.
Normally we do every 2 weeks, but I will be on vacation when we normally would do the show, so it would probably be the 25th before we come back. And by that time, most everything should be done. So we'll probably have a big show of just talking about the cool new stuff that we might get.
Here's all the not E3 news.
Yeah. So yeah. If you're interested in that, check back. Just hang tight. I've got to have a vacation.
Hey, that's important, man.
I haven't been on vacation since Thanksgiving, so I'm ready for a vacation. So, but yeah, so like I say, if you want to come join us live, follow us at GL_podcast on Twitter. That way you'll know when we go live a couple hours before. You can come hang out in the Twitch chat, or the YouTube chat, or the Facebook chat, or wherever you want to watch it at. Because the tweet always has links to everything. And if you just listen to it normally on the regular podcast, you'll get it when we put it up the next morning. So, yeah. But yeah, so if that's it, we're going to call that a show. Thanks again, guys, for hanging out and listening, and we will catch you all next time.